Gentlemen, we are in my closet. My closet is just a smidge messy. I want to see my shelf, which I'm not too ashamed about this because everything is in pretty much an orderly place and I don't have to touch it very often. But here is a bottle of cologne. This is a Nautica cologne. It was about $40 at a local shop called Burlington Coat Factory. It kind of sort of smells like flowers, but not quite flowers, but also a bit like ocean or like detergent. I'm not very good at telling the smell of things. I haven't used it much. There's actually a sizable chunk put on. Here's the big thing story with cologne, with me, with cologne, is a. So years ago, I was kind of sort of getting some mission prep help from a local bishop, sort of. I haven't gone on a mission yet. It's planning for the end of this year. But it was, even though I might not have been going then, it was just kind of like getting me in the mindset and getting me some new Sunday clothes and stuff in exchange for me helping him in his yard to pay back the the uh the money that he spent. And that was one thing I remember. Like, we kind of wondered what some of the smells were, and there was Ed Hardy was one of the smells, which I'm glad I didn't get because I don't want to be associated with that. But that one kind of sort of interested me because I had seen some of his designs and I really heard about Ed Hardy when I was first on Hobbytron.com and I saw an Ed Hardy themed helicopter. And if you're not familiar, Ed Hardy is an American tattoo artist, and he does like the roses with the thorns and the skulls kind of type tattoos. That's Ed Hardy. Oh, and one more thing is, in the dollar store, we had one time, because we get a small selection of random books from different stores, and we had an Ed Hardy tattoo book, which was all about Ed Hardy and his tattoos. And apparently, somewhere in there, I didn't see it, but apparently in there somewhere there was a picture of a nude lady. And this one customer brought it up and said, "This book has a nude lady in it, you can't sell it." Which, it is in Utah, and so yes, people are going to think that sort of a thing. But also, we could totally sell it, and what we literally did was just put it back on the shelf. As my manager, the main manager of the store, put it, "What did you expect? It's a tattoo book." He didn't say that to her face, and he wasn't there when she brought it up, but he did see it, and he saw the note about it, and it was like, "Yeah, it's a tattoo book. What did you expect?" So yes, but I didn't get the Ed Hardy. I got this one. I do remember the sales associate at Burlington Co Factory being like, "We can't let you smell them here, but there is a shop at the mall where you could smell them, and then you could come back and buy them here." Which I believe it was a little bit cheaper to buy them there than at the mall. And um, other things about cologne is there is the scent Black Ice by the Little Trees air freshener company, and it's also like a cologne as well. And I remember Black Ice because back when I was 16 and I was in driver's ed, all of the girls said that Black Ice smelled like hot guy or attractive male. And ooh, celebrity crush. I'll answer that in a second. And then I found that Black Ice actually makes a cologne. Oh, Kobe used his whole paycheck to buy the Aqua Duo cologne. Wow. I wouldn't spend that much on cologne because I haven't used it much. But one of my friends, sort of, I haven't seen him in a long time. Used to be in my singles ward, but he said that a one time he spent like $80 on a thing of cologne that was only like this tall and like this around. It would look like a grenade, and it was Black Ice. Yeah, that's not really my style. I get cologne point, but also the big thing for me is I've put cologne on in the past when I've gone to church and nobody said anything. And so then one time I purposely, like, instead of like one or two squirts on the neck or wherever I used to just put it on my shirt area, I did purposely like 6+ squirts or something. And I went to church smelling probably pretty strong for most people, and nobody said anything. And so now it's like, what's the point? I do have the bottle for when I start dating again. I might use it for going on a date. I've used it once to mask another scent that was on me that I didn't want. Yeah, and it's interesting, but I'm not really a cologne person, needless to say. It's. I actually almost thought about buying a cologne bottle that was pretty small. It was only like this tall and this big. It was at the dollar store when I was down at the Provo dollar store for a while. And I thought about buying it because it smelled like a watermelon. And it didn't smell like the fake candy watermelon, it smelled like a real watermelon. I don't remember what it was called, but then I decided no, because I haven't used most of this big bottle over here, and also because it was a pretty small size for the clones at the dollar store. Usually the clones at the dollar store are maybe half the size of my big bottle, which they don't smell as good. And like one of my friends once, I was coworker actually used to work at the Dollar Tree, a nice guy. I was talking with him about cologne. He was saying how he wanted to go to a friend's house, but he couldn't because he didn't have his cologne with him to make him smell better, and so he didn't want to go. By the way, this guy has Tourette's syndrome, so that probably adds to the situation. But he didn't want to go, and so I said, I'm not too far away. I've got some cologne that you can use. First I said, buy some cologne at the dollar store here and use it. He said, oh no, no. And he said something about how like Spanish people like to use it a lot because they like to smell good, especially with the water where they're not smelling good. Which I'm not sure how valid that is, but he was a pretty reputable person, so that would be like the only thing that he's ever said that's not completely true. But anyways, he said no, they don't smell very good, and I have to buy like really expensive cologne from J.C. Penney's. And when he said that, and I thought about it, I did realize that they had a more chemically not as nice smelling smell as my cologne, even the ones that smelled similar. And so then I was like, well, you could use some of my cologne, come over to my house. And he was like, well, where did you get it? And it was about $40 from Remington Coat Factory. He's like, that's doing better, but still not enough. So he's like particular about it. So I'm not much for cologne. Now to answer the question before I go about celebrity crushes. Celebrity crushes. Well, I can tell you that my favorite actor is Steve Holland from the 1954 TV series Flash Gordon, but that doesn't work for a celebrity crush because he's a man. And I wouldn't necessarily say Irene Chaplin, who played Dale Arden. Well, she is beautiful, but I'd say that about most women, even women who had warts and pimples on her face. I don't know. Honestly, I've never really crushed about a celebrity. I'm too logical thinking. So for me, oh, they're kind of out there and away and not in my league at all, and I wouldn't ever date them or even meet them in real life, most likely, and so what's the point of it? But if I did have to pick a crush, if I did have to pick somebody where, and I do not do this on purpose, like ever, if I ever do this, I quickly push this thought out of my mind because I'm religious, I'm a Mormon, member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But if I had to pick somebody based on looking at them and, oh my, she's very beautiful kind of a thing, which I can tell you very much, I'm not looking here and I'm not looking lower. And makeup also, extreme makeup doesn't catch my interest at all. Like, I prefer women that don't have makeup, but if you put makeup on and I didn't notice, then that's okay. But once you get into the extreme red blushy cheeks and bright red lipstick, and it kind of turns me off. But I like blonde, long hair, certain types of shoes are cute, but please no barefoot or no sandals. I don't want to see your feet. Oh, please no. I don't go barefoot myself, that's for another time. But I would say, oh boy, for some reason Katy Perry comes to mind, but I wouldn't really say Katy Perry. She doesn't, I don't know, I don't really have a celebrity crush. There's, out of all the celebrities in movies, there's nobody that's really appealed to me and made me say, oh my goodness, she is beautiful. Not really, not to make any offense to anybody quite literally, but another name that comes to mind, and I don't think I might have seen her in something, but probably not. I think I've only heard of her. Kristen Wiig. Kristen Wiig is closer, but there's just something about her face that's not right. I do look. I do like women that look younger, but I don't want them to try and make themselves look younger on purpose. No. But blonde, I think, maybe, or maybe she's a redhead. She's not sure. I have absolutely no blimey idea. Well, who, I would say. Honestly, my mind just draws a blank. If you talk about random pictures of other women on, like Facebook suggested as friends, or random pictures when I'm looking at YouTube videos or Google Images, there's been some people on the internet that will say they have kind of sort of turned me on, but I've also kind of turned myself off really quickly, because that's not really appropriate when you're religious like me. But so I don't really have a celebrity crush. Most of the celebrities out there don't really quite appeal to me. But there have been some people on the internet that have appealed to me. And I will say, final thing I'll say in the video is that there have been a few instances where, like, we'll see the smaller picture when I'm looking for something else of a girl. And I'm like, ooh, she kind of turns me on. Nothing wrong with making the picture bigger and just looking at the picture of the woman. Because this is something that it's not necessarily in marriage, but it definitely is a plus if you get it. And it is definitely also, if you're in the right mindset, it's also helpful if you are physically attracted to them. If you're in the right mindset. If you're just physically attracted to them, there's a problem, and you probably shouldn't be dating them unless you truly love them. But there are a few instances where ooh, that girl looks pretty beautiful. I think I'm going to expand this photo on Google Images and take a look and just see what this girl looks like up close. And oh my goodness, she doesn't look nearly as young as she did in that photo. And then it like happens to be, there's a few photos of this model modeling off some clothes or something. And so I look at them and then I'm like, well, if she does this certain side view, then it makes her look younger. But once you get the front view, then she just looks like undesirable and kind of older than I would want. And just, no, thank you. I'm not trying to be rude here, but he just turned me off all of a sudden. It's like, oh, she's very beautiful. Oh, never mind. I'll go somewhere else now. Anyways, that is my video on Cologne, and I've answered the question of my celebrity crush, which will be in the thumbnail of this video. Let's go back to normal American accent, which is kind of tricky for me to do when I've gotten stuck liking an accent, and then I just end up doing it. And yeah. Oh wait, hold on. Yep. Go to bed. I don't know what mad means, but have a good night. Yes, I will, Colby. I am going to get some sleep and wake up for work tomorrow. I've got to just do the basic getting ready for bed, but thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked me talking, if you thought it was amusing to hear me talk in an English accent, which I kind of still am, but stop the English accent now. There we go. Then leave a like below and get subscribed. I've got other videos, short film coming out, other things that are less just me rambling on and talking, and more of scripted good bits of fun. See you later.